And today's viewpoint comes to us from an editorial from the Global Times. And the writer of this editorial is taking a pretty hard look at China-Japan relations. Now, the writer says that a cyclical deterioration has been seen in the past 40 years since Sino-Japanese diplomatic relations were normalized. This is due to the issues about the understanding of history and the Diaoyu Islands dispute. The former indicates Japan's contempt towards its former victim countries, and the latter exasperates China's hostility towards Japan by taking advantage of the U.S.-Japan alliance. Japan has even threatened to use the self-defense forces in the current Diaoyu Islands crisis. But will a Sino-Japanese war really break out? The writer says that China has always advocated shelving the dispute with Japan over the Diaoyu Islands. The two countries agreed to settle all disputes by peaceful means. In other words, the Sino-Japanese Treaty of Peace and Friendship will be violated by any threat of force in the handling of the issue. Those threats must be solved through diplomatic negotiations. As for preparation in its domestic environment, the Japanese aim to seek a separate development of the Diaoyu Islands. The Tokyo metropolitan government launched an island purchase plan to break the status quo when no development of the islands was carried out by either country. Japan furthermore initiated advertising on funding for the island purchase in a bid to mobilize patriotism. Now, the editorial goes on to say that the Japanese government raised the nationalization of the islands after Chinese fury was spurred on by the island purchase plan. The initiative aims to urge the Chinese government to accept the trading of the islands led by the Japanese government. However, since the Diaoyu Islands crisis has repeatedly flared up, the article says that China should face up to the reality that a friendly way of shelving disputes no longer exists. Furthermore, it only allows problems to worsen without a convenient method to solve them. To reverse the state of affairs, the writer of this editorial suggests that China should return to the diplomacy drawing board with Japan and face up to the adverse consequences following the repeated shelving of disputes and immediately act to negotiate and solve the Diaoyu Islands issue. Subjectivity must be strengthened in Chinese diplomacy towards Japan. Populist actions will not solve the problem of international politics. Stronger reactions among the Chinese people will be taken advantage of by Japan to further strengthen its power. The editorial finishes off by saying that once this gets out of control, a huge wound will appear to prevent reconciliation between the two nations. This will be doomed to be a failure for their diplomacy regardless of who wins or loses. Therefore, it is time to stop fantasizing over shelving disputes, begin negotiations, and provide a clear conclusion under international law.